Good evening and welcome to the 5-8, where we discuss each of the week's 5 most fucked up topics for 8 minutes. 5 topics, 8 minutes, 2 hosts, a guest, some singing, a lot of curse words, and as many cocktails as we deem necessary. LB, how are you today?
I'm good. I'm making it through my water. I just realized I need more water.
Yeah.
No cocktails for me. I'm good. My nose is dripping a little bit because winter's coming. But I think just for one little brief thing, and then it's going away and we have more warm fall. But it's going to get down to like 26 degrees tonight.
Yeah. It is still summer, technically, for another day or two. So
it's summer and it's going to be 26 degrees. I can't take it.
Celsius or Fahrenheit?
Fahrenheit, baby.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Right. This is where if we were MAGA, we'd be like, what about global warming?
Oh God.
Make that joke, you know?
There's
no wind. How do the windmills work when there's no wind? What happens?
I can't even. I can't. So it just exhausts me just to think about it. How was your week?
I think it was okay. You know?
Yeah.
I can't remember, honestly. No, this was a hard week, I think, for a lot of people. I mean, you know, just the news and the battery of stuff. And I think, you know, we've been talking about fascism for so long on this show and Nazis for so long that it's, you know, you kind of say it and you don't even think about it sometimes. But like this week, we crossed another line for sure. And I think everybody knows it. Like everybody knows it. I feel like there's, you know, what did I do?
So someone just brought me some water.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, to replace. So I was saying,
I'm very glad. You know what I mean? Like,
it does. It does. You and I both have been bringing up our right of boom, and you said, you know, we're so far right of boom. It's you can't even hear.
You don't even remember the boom.
Don't even remember the boom.
Like, you know, it's like when you get to a show on Netflix and you start watching it, you're like, oh my God, I saw the show already. It's like we're at that level of right of boom. It's so far beyond.
So far. It's so yeah. So it's a little, but it's still jarring. Yeah. I mean, it's still jarring.
Yeah, it's jarring. And I think we're trying to figure out how to talk about stuff without getting, you know, whatever word you want to use. I think I was listening to the Bill Simmons podcast this morning, which is the sports podcast. And he was saying that he's used to write for Jimmy Kimmel. So he's friends with him, you know, and he said the main point is Kimmel isn't cancel culture, it's censorship, and there's a difference. And I thought that was a good point, and it's something that we're, I think, all working to navigate. When I was on Wednesday, I didn't know yet the details about the, you know, that this is just we need the merger.
Ripping him off air, yeah,
it's just
the threats from the FCC chair,
yeah. Who looks like? Why do these guys all look the same? They look like the
blow up. God, because they are the same.
Yeah,
they all look the same because they are all the same.
Yeah.
Same guy. Every woman knows that guy.
Yeah.
Same guy.
Same guy. So we had a guest tonight, but the guest had to cancel at the last minute because she had a family emergency.
She had a family thing.
We're gonna have her back. And that'll be fun. So this is why we never say who's coming on. So we don't want to feel bad. We don't.
It's happening once, right? And in all of the years,
now in 4 years. So you know.
Listen, I know we've been on for at least 3 years because we pulled an archive video for tonight. Because it's, you'll see.
Yeah, when we get there.
And it's shocking that we did this years and years ago, and it's like, oh God.
It's I went through. Yeah, we're going to do a little bit of a rerun, but I went through trying to figure out which one we could play. And like, some of them are very depressing to watch now in hindsight, knowing what we know and
what we know now.
How things turned out. But whatever, we don't want to be depressed. We don't want to be depressing. We want to be the opposite of that. So
do we? Okay.
So let's talk about our first bright. Oh, I forgot to put the banner up. Our first bright and cheery topic, which is Jeffrey Epstein.
Oh, yay.
Yeah. You know, why not something really fun to talk about? It's like a family show or whatever.
Oh God.
So Massey, Representative Massey, went and spoke in Congress and talked about. I think this was during the Kosh Patel debacle, which
Oh my God, I forgot about that already.
that's what I mean. I mean, he's
This
such,
is the thing. I'm blocking everything out. But that Kosh Patel, that happened after our last show, right? The Kosh
yes,
Patel.
yeah, that was this week
Oh
that he,
boy.
yeah.
What?
Well, start there. What did you think about Kosh Patel?
I mean, I think he might be the first live action meme. I feel like he's just a meme that animated itself into being, and he's a real boy now. He's
Wow.
was a puppet meme boy, and now he's a real boy, and he's got a big boy job at the FBI, which somehow makes him think it means I think, I'm just going to go out on a limb and say, let's manufacture some evidence in some really crucial cases. Let's bury everything else in the stuff that implicates us. And I'm going to, whenever anybody talks to me, I'm just going to shout at them like a meme from 4chan.
Yeah.
That's what I think he thinks being a grown-up is. And I think for all of these characters, they don't have any idea what being an adult actually is. None. Zero. There is an immaturity problem. Oh my God, Ben Sass. Remember him from way back?
Ben Sass? Yes, I remember.
Ben Sass. Massive, as immature as we can be, a massive maturity problem. And so it's all like, this is what we think it means to be dad, and a grown up sitting in my seat as the FBI director. And they're all like this. It's not that they're cosplaying, which it is. It's not quite cosplaying. It's just sort of fantasy. It's a fantasy in that way. It is. It's a fantasy of what they think it is. It's not a fantasy to live out vicarious kind of thing. Like we're going to be Vikings, It's literally a fantasy world of, we can call it cosplaying, of them performing the role they always wanted, that they watched somebody else had, and they were quarterbacking it the whole time, thinking that they had the expertise and anything else to go do that job and be better at that job. And now they're in that job and they're big. And that's what we're watching. It's really like something else.
It's like in Galaxy Quest, where like the actors who play the Galaxy Quest people then have to be the Galaxy Quest people, because that's the part where we're at now. It's the fantasy has become reality, and they're ill prepared.
Ill prepared.
We should just play Peter Gabriel's "Big Time" on repeat every time they show up. Big, 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 big.
I'm on my way. I'm making it.
Yeah. It's so great, Kosh Patel. So one of the things, now there's two things we have to hit here. One of the things Kosh Patel talked about is that the original sin, this is a quote, original sin of the Epstein thing was Alex Acosta, who was then the U.S. attorney in the Southern District of Florida, giving him this infamous sweetheart deal, this plea agreement where Epstein went to jail, I guess, for a couple hours a day, and stuff like that. And we all know about this, we who have been reading about this for a while. So today, Acosta,
former labor secretary under President Trump, who gave him the job as Secretary of Labor years after the Jeffrey Epstein thing, that now Kat Abughazaleh is saying this was the original sin. It's not that they didn't know it was an original sin at the time when Donald Trump named him Secretary of Labor. Secretary of Labor, just for anybody who doesn't know this, actually oversees coming up with the recommendation and letting and doing the statistics and sort of overseeing administratively as the institution it used to be, human trafficking and sex trafficking. So if we put in charge of that by Donald.
Now, I read the piece.
Because he gave a sweetheart deal.
He gave him a sweetheart deal.
Yeah.
And I read the story, and all we care about, Acosta has this line where he says he was told that Epstein belonged to intelligence and therefore he should steer clear.
Yep.
Nothing came out of that today. Apparently no one thought to ask about
no one
it.
thought to ask
if they
that.
did, we don't know. We don't know who told him this.
Why
We
did
don't
it
know
have
why.
to be closed door session then?
My guess is, I mean, best case scenario, they didn't want to do all the grandstanding bullshit and they wanted to actually ask questions and get answers. But who knows? But here is I went to the Washington Post and I read the article, and here's to your point about, hey, Acosta did this and now he received this, kind of job here.
Yeah.
This is the key statement, the key graph, I thought, in the Washington Post story, which is Comer, that's Jim Comer, the head of this committee, added that Acosta worried about what might happen should the government go to trial against Epstein and lose, which is probably valid, and that there was concern about the quality of some of the evidence gathered in the case. I don't think that's valid. Acosta said President Donald Trump's name did not appear on any document that crossed his desk during his time on the case.
That last sentence, we're going to pause there.
Yeah.
I thought that the Speaker of the House recently said that it was Donald Trump who was the confidential informant for the FBI on the Jeffrey Epstein case.
Well, how could Donald Trump be ratted out Epstein and his name not appear in any of the documents that cross his desk? Maybe the documents didn't cross his desk. Maybe he just read them on the couch on the side.
Well, it says during his time on the case. So that all those deals could have been negotiated before he came onto the case. And so he's being a lawyer and being specious there. And sort of technically, what is that called when you go underneath the bar, that game?
Limbo?
Yeah.
Doing the limbo?
Doing a lawyer limbo there.
Yeah. Okay.
But I mean, they have to figure out you and I can speculate all we want. We can produce evidence. We can produce sources. We can produce all this stuff to verify. We can produce their own words of the people who were in positions of authority to actually make those calls, like Alec Acosta. But they got to get their story straight amongst each other, because it's now to the point where we've got the Speaker of the House saying one thing. We've got Donald Trump saying something else. We've got Comer doing his whirly birdies. I don't know what he's trying to do. We've got Koff Patel saying a bunch of stuff that is direct contradictory of stuff that he was saying, albeit before he was FBI director, but that's never been addressed. We have Koff Patel going at odds with Alex Acosta. We have Alex Acosta saying stuff that's contradictory. I mean, it's like,
yeah. And Bill Barr.
My God.
Bill Barr, in his testimony, because he testified last month, said that, well, there's no evidence. I saw nothing to suggest that Jeffrey Epstein was in any way tied to intelligence, which is so fucking stupid that I can't even with that.
Yeah. Other than Ghislaine and Robert Maxwell, I don't know. And Ehud Barak, and I don't know. He's tied to a prince. He got Her Majesty's
Douglas
Secret
Lease.
Service under
There's
that.
a lot of
Douglas Lease. We've got the list goes on and on and on.
Now, speaking of list going
Tom
on,
Barrack.
Yeah,
freelancer.
Massey during this whole thing gave a very tantalizing soundbite where he basically lambasted Koff Patel. We know, having read, I guess they have read some of this stuff, that there are at least 20 people that are named. And he said one of them is Jess Staley, who was trying to be the CEO at Barclays, or was briefly, but he was a JP Morgan guy that was the kind of the handler, the clients guy, the accounts guy at JP Morgan for all the really, really super rich people. He's the one that said about Epstein, he wrote him, this is long after he'd already been in jail and everything, like, we're like the ancient Greeks that we're going to join hands and not let anybody come near, like some ridiculous thing like that. It's just embarrassing. And then he also said there's 19 other people, including a Hollywood producer, don't know who that is, legit, worth hundreds of millions of dollars. A prince, pretty sure we know who that is. Pretty sure Trump saw him this week. Maybe comparing notes. I don't know.
Yeah.
A music industry professional, a prominent banker. That could be a lot of different people.
A lot of people.
I mean, it could be the guy in charge of JP Morgan who, they got in big trouble, right?
Could be Jamie Dimon, isn't that his name? Yeah.
It is. There's a government official. I don't know if the implication, by the way, in what Massey said is that these people are all alive and with us. They're not like, long gone. Government official could be anybody. Former politician. Well,
RFK
we know Bill
Jr.
Clinton.
We know he has.
Well, right.
Yep. Former
RFK
politician. Could a U.S. Are we talking about a U.S. politician?
He doesn't say. He does not
Doesn't
specify.
say.
Barack Ehud Barak, not Barack Obama.
Right, Ehud Barak.
And it's an owner of an Italian car company, which that was new to me.
Yeah,
I
that
went
was
down
new
a
to
deep
you.
dive into the Italian automotive industry.
You were talking to me about that one.
Mm-hmm,
yeah.
A rock star, a magician.
And then we discovered there's a couple of magicians in there.
There's
so.
two, yeah.
Yeah.
But they both made their names disappear.
Disappear.
And then at least 6 billionaires, including one from Canada, which we think, he managed money for Bronfman. That doesn't mean that Bronfman did anything illegal or untoward in any way, shape, or form.
But there was that Conrad Black or whatever. That was that other guy that was like, I think in one of the movies, one of the documentaries. I'm not sure.
Yeah. And then I went through and I went to the Forbes list or Fortune or whatever it is list of all the billionaires. There's like 1,300 of them, which is more than I thought. And so here we go. Leon Black, we know he's in there. Wexner, we know he's in there. Bill Gates is in there. Peter Thiel had deals with Epstein fairly recently. He's pretty wealthy. Tom Pritzker's name I've seen a bunch of times. And then the other billionaire that who is now definitely a billionaire, didn't used to be when he was on this list, is Donald John Trump.
Yeah.
Got to think maybe is Massey trying to tell us something there?
Maybe. I wish everyone would stop being so coded, stop doing things behind closed doors, stop it's just I don't know. Our time is up. It's not getting better.
No, but
it's getting more opaque and weirder.
Well,
it's just strange.
Speaking of weirder, that's a good segment.
Yeah. Speaking of weirdos,
okay, so I want to talk a little bit about our vice president, J.D. Vance. I got to put this up. How does this work? Just wait. Bear with me for 1 second. I have to hit play. There we go. So we can see this, okay, right?
We can see. Okay, we see a lot of things. Yeah.
Okay. You just see the JD in Cincinnati tile. Is that what you see?
Yeah, we can see that in the middle of a bunch of other tiles.
In the middle of a bunch of other tiles.
Well, it's in the middle, and you can play it, and then it will go play.
Yeah, I'm playing it right now. Okay, so I just want to anyway. To me, like JD Vance is, as I say here, he's thirsty, right?
Yeah.
And if you go to his response to everything that's happened this week, in the aftermath of the horrific murder that we saw last week, was that last week? God, I've lost all track of time.
I think it was last week. Yeah.
There's now, he basically Kimmel is gone, Colbert is gone, and Vance tweets this. Everyone, please congratulate Marco Rubio, the new host of ABC's Late Night Show. Whoa! Pretty funny, right? Pretty funny guy. Yeah. And then he does it again. He kind of doubles down. Jimmy Kimmel wasn't funny. And to be fair, JD Vance knows a thing or two about not funny, we would think.
Yeah.
His ratings were in the toilet and his advertisers were revolting.
Are you thinking that we're seeing something that you're reading? I just got to interrupt you. Yeah, it's still stuck on the first slide.
God damn it.
Yeah. Okay.
What about now?
Now, but you're not expanding it. So we're in the application with you.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
It should be fine. But can you see it? Because
I can see it now. Well, I'm
Okay.
seeing the whole application that you built this in. But yes.
Whatever. That'll work
fine.
Whatever. Okay. So
also the belly aching from the left over free speech after the Biden years fools precisely no one. What does that mean?
That's such a preposterous thing to say. He talks like that a lot, but he's trying to do this like wink, wink, da, da, da.
Yeah.
And, the thing that occurs to me is that, and then he wants to get on that show, he wants to. So as soon as he can, what does he do? He goes and he fills in on the show of the guy who is no longer with us. And
wants the audience. It's
he wants the audience.
Captured audience.
Wants the audience. Now, I'm fine with him. Like, it's actually good rep for him to, as a professional understudy, to maybe sit in the main chair every once in a while. I think it's probably fine. We get a taste of what this might be like because the actuarial tables suggest that he's going to take over for someone else down the line also. But what I get out of this is this need, this deep, deep need. And I think he just wants to be on a podcast, you know, like I don't think he even wants to be president. I think he just wants to do this, which is weird because remember when the memes happened, right? We got all this. This was happening for like weeks. We had these memes. Remember the guy got arrested at the airport because they wouldn't let him into the country.
They wouldn't let him in the country because he had a bad picture of JD Vance on his phone. Yeah.
And then I guess this network that I've never heard of, JD Vance's hilarious response to the meme fest. And he has the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but you see, this is like NDTV world, right? I don't know what that is.
I don't know what that is.
That's how far down, like when there's a movie that's bad and they have to find they go way down and they find some weird thing. It's like, best movie ever. And it's like
the reviewer,
Dave in his basement, it's like, that's what this is. But I had an epiphany, right? He's sitting there, he's looking out at the audience. And why does JD Vance want this? It's simple. There's the audience, That's the audience.
Pillowy, nice and pillowy.
Nice and pillowy.
Nice and pillowy. Yeah. Yeah. Oh God.
He's so unserious. Like, to be serious, he's so unserious.
Yeah.
And he is going to be president at some point. Like, he's very present at all of these things. He's very involved, much more so than vice presidents usually are.
Yeah. I was feeling like today it even really struck me how because I was getting some, I put up was it a tweet on X? I think it was a thing about, because I was just seeing more evidence that Donald was so he had a narcissistic injury from showing up at that restaurant in DC and having those words said to him. And I really believe, and people are correcting me going, oh no, that's a pink something op. And that, okay, maybe those people,
Code
sure.
Pink. Yeah.
I'm in. They were there to create the scene for the content, to justify a crackdown and to like build this narrative. And Donald could have been made aware of that ahead of time. Look, we're going to have a thing there. But I don't think he expected those words. I don't. I think it really did. He gets these. It's like, I don't know how much feelings he has, but his narcissism, his ego gets injured. And he has that narcissistic injury and he can't get over it. That's why he loves retribution. He can't ever forget something like that. He was perseverating about it. And so I'm like, okay. And I just don't think he's a 4D chess guy. I think I've never been in that camp where he can, but I do think he's way more cognizant of stuff and kind of skilled at things than he gets credit for. I'm not saying there's an intelligence there that to be respected in any way, shape, or form. I'm just saying, because he's a pretty dumb mobster guy, he's dumb in many, many ways. I'm just saying there's a lot of this that's an act, a performance. He's a performer, Donald, and he's a bad performer. He's a bad actor. I saw it. I was telling you, I saw it when he got the news live that Robert Redford had died. And it was like a mask fell off and he was a human being. He's like, oh man, that just happened. I didn't hear about that. And so he was aware of the moment. He was aware of what he just came from. He knew that he hadn't heard it. He was alert. And he was just like, he's one of the greats and, does this thing, but it was accurate. He had a run of films there at a time. There was at least 7-8 films that were just incredible. I'm sorry to hear that. And it was normal. It was normal and present. And he's never those things. He's a very bizarre human being. But it just showed me how much of the stuff is, again, I'm going to go be the president. This is, I'm adulting. And he heads out to be president authoritarian and president MAGA and all this performing. And he's just not, it's not as believable as it is when the mask falls, which is why I think everybody who sits back with him, and I heard this from people also who had known mob bosses and have been around mob bosses, same energy of when they're out and they're talking or you have a personal understanding who they are. But then when you sit down at a dinner table or you meet them in person, it's a totally different experience, right? They're just, and that's part of the charisma. That's part of the whoa, this person is way different than I thought they were. And so there must be sort of a master of the universe and controlling things. And it's an illusion. All that to say, I don't think he was in control, even if he was made aware of what was going to happen in that restaurant. So who's puppeting him? Someone else is putting all that shit together.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I think he's being very, it's very possible. As you said, these aren't normal things that VPs do. I mean, nothing's normal about anything anymore, but the involvement, the need for Vance, he needs to insert himself at the front of the, I'm going to capture the audience. I'm going to be in the cultural moment. I'm going to fly the guy on my private plane and fly his body as well. Mm-hmm. He's there in all of that. And then I'm like, ow. I mean, might have gotten the word from some intelligence, who knows, of like, hit his ego if you want to keep him on task and target. Get this guy's ego involved all the time. Get him in a situation where he gets a little upset and he'll give you whatever you want.
Yeah.
It feels, I don't know. I don't think that's suspicious. I just think it feels someone's orchestrating shit. And I don't think it's Donald. I don't think Donald's asking for it. That's all.
It's strange that Vance was in the restaurant with him. Like, yes. Presidents and vice presidents aren't supposed to be together like that. As my understanding is that for matters of security, they're supposed to be like physically separated a lot. Not that they can't be, but it's one thing if you're in the White House or you're in the Oval Office, but like out like that is a little weird. I get that the restaurant is like across the street from the White House and probably the safest place on planet Earth. I get that, but I guess. So
how did that group of people get in there?
They were hungry, had a reservation.
So I don't think, again, I think Donald's aware of the set pieces and the performances and the scripted nature of things and the production, and probably believes he's in charge of all. He's Mark Burnetting this whole thing this time all by him's big boy self. But that threw him. It
did seem to throw him. I mean, he went on it was right after that when they called him Hitler that he put out the statement about, I'm going to crack down on anybody that compares wonderful Americans like the guy who just died as to Nazis.
Well, let's just,
Should we go there now?
There might be a song about that.
Yeah, there might be a song. Wait, I have to do this thing. Bear with me. Bear with me.
Bear with you.
Because I can't do two of them at the same time for some reason.
Well, I don't like you.
Okay, here we go.
But we can put us away.
I'm going to put us away, but I can't be on the two here. In GOP, where lies are king, when Trump meets Ye, the truth comes out.
But there's a lot of things that I love about Hitler.
When your boys on Fox News want to kill all the Jews, you're a Nazi. When your girls slander gays and plant bombs for 6J, you're a Nazi. Ye will tweet DEFCON 3, Fuentes will agree, and you'll screech, get George Soros. Incels cry, why oh why oh why, even when I try, can't I find the clitoris? When Elon makes you drool more than 2,000 mules, you're a Nazi. When you worship a man who puts ketchup on Spam, you're in deep. When you praise Hitler's acts, but you've been fucking hacked since Benghazi. Scusa me, but you see it's the same GOP. You're now Nazis. Oh, you're now Nazis.
excuse me, they didn't put themselves down as you, and you had some very bad people in that group. But you also had people that were very fine people on both sides.
What's going on?
Are we here? Oh, I know what we did. There we go.
You're having a technical day.
Well, we don't usually do this, we don't usually do all this wizardry,
Wizardry today.
We're compensating because we have a guest. But we kind of have a guest. So but we did that one. That was, we can't remember, but it was in December of 2022. And I believe it was right after he had dinner at Mar-a-Lago with Kanye West and Nick Fuentes.
And Nick Fuentes, yeah.
Kanye West is the guy talking, obviously saying that I love it, at the beginning there. So, strange stuff afoot there, for sure. And it's, Fuente, we've all come full circle now to this, to this thing.
Yeah.
I was going to say there's almost that the bad number that you highlighted there. There's almost that number of billionaires. It's close.
Oh God, that's going to be a dark day. We'll cross some kind of weird Rubicon in the Matrix on that day.
I don't know what.
Oh, good Lord! All right. Well, so as we said, we lost our guest at the last minute, unfortunately, but she will be back. We'll have her on. But something else happened today that was wild. So you want to kind of set all that up?
Hold on. This is another thing I'm going to have to hold on. Bear with me here, please. Yeah. So I had Kat Abughazaleh on.
On Prevail
open on my screen that have to not be open for this to work right. I had her on. Where is this thing? Here it is. Okay, whatever, it'll work. I had her on yesterday afternoon. We recorded yesterday afternoon, and she is obviously in Chicago. She's running for Congress for the 9th District of Illinois, and she's running a great campaign. We've had her on this show before, and hopefully we'll have her back on the show. The primary isn't until March, so there's lots of time for her to do stuff. Yeah. But she told me all the stuff that's happening with ICE in Chicago, because remember, Trump was all flexing his muscles.
Yeah, we're going into Chicago. He kept saying,
yeah. And he eventually got scared about sending actual troops in. He didn't do that, but he did send in ICE, and they had something called Operation Midway Blitz, which is like a dumb football word, And I'm sure all these ICE guys thought it was really, really clever. Because Midway is Chicago and Blitz.
Well, it's all a game.
It's all a game. It's all
a sport. Yeah.
And
sport.
I wanted to share kind of, what she said. So let me just
a few weeks there have been.
There we go. I just clipped some of the interview and whatever. You'll see.
Yeah, people are terrified. Documented and undocumented immigrants are terrified. Many are not leaving their homes. Many are making sure to carry their papers with them. One of my friends has her kid in daycare, and the daycare sent out an email saying, this is what we'll do if there's an ICE raid. And so all the kids have their papers with them, which is so unbelievably fucked. And for the last few weeks, there have been protests at the Broadview Processing Facility, which is the headquarters of ICE's Chicago operations. And it's been so for years. There have been weekly vigils every Friday at this processing facility. Obviously, those have ramped up as protests, as ICE activity has ramped up. So I went for a vigil in July, and it was very tame. It was like a bunch of old Jewish ladies and college students and people that are like, hey, don't kidnap our neighbors. The ICE officers were terrified. They called an Uber Eats driver to bring them dinner and then made the driver come inside because we were obviously terrifying, so scary. Then 2 Fridays ago, I went as a part of a protest because some protesters had been arrested the week before. We managed to actually get an ICE vehicle to have to turn around because of the sheer numbers. But they had changed the deportation time from 8 a.m. to 5 a.m. to get around these protesters. So last week, I went at about 5:30 and sat on public property on streets owned by the city of Broadview. And ICE tried to intimidate us. They flashed their vans at us. They tried to get us to move. We did not. I watched as people were marching to these vans. They were in the same clothes they were detained in. This is a processing facility. Part of the problem with this facility is that it's a processing facility, not a detention facility. So people aren't supposed to be kept there for more than 12 hours at a time. They're not given beds. They are not given hot meals. They are not given hygienic products. People in the same clothes they were detained in have been in there for God knows how long. And this isn't just like men, which obviously it's not okay to do this to anyone, but we've heard about grandmothers and pregnant women sleeping on the concrete here. So we watched as they go in, and the Broadview police stood there as ICE agents came out of the gates and forcibly removed us. I am 105, maybe 110 pounds. It took 3 guys to pick me up, and they threw me on the ground. And the police just stood there and watched, and then they took our neighbors, and more people joined our protest. Around 10 a.m., this weird AI voice came on saying that they could use lethal or chemical munitions against us. And then they changed it to be chemical or less lethal munitions. But several times, like 24 men in full Spirit Halloween Call of Duty costume armor came out to try to intimidate us with guns and gas masks and tear gas and pepper balls. I watched as a van was coming in that had people who had been detained, kidnapped. They were slamming on the doors to get out. Greg, you could see the doors moving. You could hear it. It was the most harrowing thing I've ever seen in my goddamn life. And the police just watched me. They were like, there's a crime right there. There's a crime. And they protected ICE and they protected the processing facility as these officers shoved us back. One of them copped a feel, which is the lowest priority of that day. But I think it's worth noting because these guys suck. And I'm going back tomorrow. So wish me luck.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what happened.
I'm going back tomorrow, and then we watch.
Back tomorrow, and tomorrow is today, and that went viral today. That clip of her getting, just hurled to the ground. There's just no excuse for that. There's nothing to say. These guys are, she went on to describe it. They're not identified. They have masks, they have sunglasses, they have hats. Nobody knows who the fuck they are. They're rapey and handsy, and that's what they're doing. And they're just terrorizing people. And why? For what purpose? There's no, I think, so Stephen Miller can, get his jollies. Like I don't even know what to say. There's nothing to say.
Nothing to say. I think, I hope she sues. I do think, I know.
She is okay, by the way.
Yeah, she's okay.
Yeah.
I know lawfare is, people have it feels like a last resort, or like it takes so long, or is this going to work? But ICE has a lot of money. They were given a lot of money. I would love to drain those funds and put them into the pockets of people who are there exercising their First Amendment right and are violently assaulted. That was a violent assault. Yeah.
Like she said later on, like in any other context, they would be arrested for assault. Yeah. Not sexual. It's like assault. You can't do that to somebody.
Yeah. Well, and you couldn't before. I'm not sure about now.
Now we can. They can do what they want. The whole country is being run by bullies, like stupid, artless bullies, and that's just that's where we are. So I really, I admire her bravery in going back. But that's what nonviolent resistance is only nonviolent on the side of the nonviolent people. That's the part about it that sucks. So it takes a lot of courage. And she said, courage isn't not being afraid. Courage is being afraid and doing what you need to do anyway. Yeah. Which is what she did. So, good on her.
Good on Kat. Kudos to Kat. And I don't have a lot to.
There's nothing to say. I mean,
there's nothing to say about
it's
this.
Still clearly bad. Like who's in favor of this? That's my thing. Like, and there are people, because she, she's interfering with an ICE, they're coming to the stormtroopers are coming to arrest the senator.
Yeah.
How dare you get away with it? No, that's not what's happening. These are, this is the state secret police invented by Ivan the Terrible, which is why he's known as Ivan the Terrible and not Ivan the Happy or the Drunk,
Yeah. Not Ivan the Mediocre even.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Not Ivan the Non-Pulsed. No. Not sleepy Ivan.
Not sleepy Ivan. Not sleepy Ivan.
Yeah.
Ivan the Bored. Some of these guys do have funny names.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's that. So in lieu of a guest, we have that. Replay,
okay.
Yeah. All right. Now I'm going to talk about.
But important because we can get wrapped up in the most recent insanity. But we were talking even before that happened to her today, and not just because she was on your on Prevail, but we were just talking about how we've got to keep talking about ICE and what's going on with these. There are two things to not get distracted from, and it's that, and it's Epstein. It's the violation of human rights, and it's what happened with Jeffrey Epstein and the president. Really, those two things are, if we can keep our focus on them, because it's not that these things are only these other things only exist as distractions. They're horrors. You're using this administration and all of its sycophants and all of its enablers and beneficiaries are using horrors, the next horror, like throwing Jimmy Kimmel out, right? Like as a way to not just to distract us from those other two things. They're horrible in and of themselves and they deserve our attention. I'm just saying we can't lose focus on these are the two things to keep our focus on for me.
Yeah.
Because what this whole thing is just, if we really stop and think about it, with ICE it's unthinkable. It's unimaginably un-American.
Yes. And it's indefensible. But a lot of people who watch Fox News really believe that all ICE is doing is going around the country and arresting criminals, which is clearly not what's happening.
No.
Like that, in Georgia, there were people from South Korea opening the car factory, the automotive factory.
Yes.
So it was Georgia, right? And this
I think it was Georgia.
MAGA
car
candidate ratted out on them, and ICE came and took them all away, put them in handcuffs, treated them like criminals. They're there to fucking train people who work in Georgia to work in the factory in Georgia. And now they're gone. So there's going to be no job. That was going to be like 8,500 jobs. And they're gone now because ICE listened to this one moron, this clown who thinks she knows something. The damage that this is doing, which is, as we think that's the point, that they're doing damage. I think that's what they want to be doing. I've thought this for a long time, but the damage is happening. It's happening. It's been happening. And here we are. So I don't know.
Okay, let's move on.
Let's move on.
I'm going to put the timer back on.
Yeah.
Here we go.
I hate the words gag order, especially capitalized, because I glance at it and it looks like my name and it drives me nuts. I see it on Twitter and I'm like, oh my God, what happened? Why am I
trending?
Yeah. So.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So why did you put
mean?
that? You were the one who wrote it in there.
I did. I spelled September wrong in the first September in that clip. I realized as it was playing, but whatever.
Oh God.
That's where my head's at, But what did you mean by gag order? Because I think this is a good point that you made while we were talking about stuff and the response to the death of this man. We were talking about it earlier in the week, and you made a good point about the words that he uses or used.
Well, I mean, we try not to say his name, and not because we're afraid of anything, but just it's not a. It's also
damnatio memoriae.
It's also weaponized, and it's also I don't know. So you and I both have like we don't want to feed into this frenzy. However, I do want to say that, all of this discussion, adulation, and tonight they were doing the memorial from Arizona, was it? For Charlie Kirk. It was strange. For me, it was, but okay. So I just was thinking about, because there's no one's playing his words.
Yeah.
No news organization, none of the legacy media, none of the broadcast news are actually playing his words. This guy was on podcasts nonstop. He had his own podcast. He was on other people's podcasts. He was a media figure. That's what he was. And no one's printing. Legacy media is not print. They're not printing his words. There's all this other stuff being discussed about him in this sort of, emotive moment of, from, we condemn political violence, obviously, to, folks, lionizing him. He's being lionized. Okay.
The apotheosis of him.
Yeah. Even by the state, president ordering the flags at half mast. Okay. So I was just like, well, hang on. This isn't a soldier, not a politician, even though it was a political pack or group, but not an elected official, not an actor, not a director, not a
musician,
not a comedian,
not a comedian,
not a surgeon, not a
novelist,
scientist,
not a screenwriter,
not a novelist or screenwriter. What was he? He was a talking head. That's what he was. And that was his life's work. His life's work were words, and using his words to express the ideas that he had and the ideas that other people had that he clung to and thought were important enough to make sure he spoke them out loud. Everything was about, for this guy, these are my words. This is how I'm going to articulate this particular idea. This is how I'm going to challenge somebody in a debate. This is how I'm going to, it was all about his words, him, his whole life's work and his whole reason of being and his persona and everything he did was about, here are my words. And all of these folks and all of these media organizations, all these news organizations are talking about him nonstop, even some of them lionizing him, and no one will play his words or print his words. So the American people, again, he had a captured audience. It was a big audience, but you can't say it was broad and that he reached all these people. He had a very captured audience. It was mostly white young men. He went on to college campuses, so he would be exposing himself. He exposed his words, used his words on college campuses for students. And he did his podcast, and his podcast was a pretty small demographic. It's pretty narrow. Those folks are all aware of what his words are and were, and what his ideas are and were. They're versed in it. But the rest of America has no clue, because they weren't part of his captured audience. So all they're getting is all of the stuff that is being said about him upon his murder, after his murder, right? His violent murder. So they're not, but so like grandma and grandpa have no idea. Voters over here have no idea. People over here, like, they have no idea what his words were. None. Yeah. And those words, and I had so I'm like, all this stuff about so-and-so's on a gag order. Like, Charlie Kirk is under a gag order.
He is. They
have gagged him. And his whole thing was not just about First Amendment free speech. It was because I have this stuff to say. And that is the most important thing, is not that I'm saying things, but the content of what I'm saying is what's so important to him. It was so important to him that he died for it. We think. We'll see what the motives were, but he was willing, and he talked about it. Like he was, and he would get nervous. He was nervous recently about, I can't criticize these things, but I gotta say these things because that's his First Amendment rights, and he knew that. But also, what I have to say is mana. To Charlie Kirk, his words were everything, and he has been silenced.
Yeah.
Why? I want to ask everybody at MSNBC, why won't you play his words? Tell us why. I want them to explain why they won't say it. While you're praising this person and glorifying him, tell me why, when his words were so important to him, and it was a whole reason he did what he did in his whole life, why won't you share his words with everybody? Why won't you play them? What's wrong with them? Anything wrong with what this man had to say, what he stood for, what his thoughts are, what his ideas were? Why is that like no one will touch it? I'm
not going to editorialize here.
I'm not either.
No.
I'm like, why? Why?
You're right. Like, he's a talking head. You're right. He's a podcast. All he did was talk. And now he's silent in both ways, figuratively and literally, right? So, and they're doing that to him. They're talking about him all the time without actually presenting him as and what he stood for. I mean, at a very baseline level, censorship and the clamping down on free speech is exactly the opposite of what he stood for even in the best case scenario reading of him. And that's what's happening now. They're censoring people. They're throwing late night hosts off the air because Trump doesn't like it. I did a thing over on my Prevail Substack where I just took quotes from, because I didn't know that much about this guy either. Most people have no fucking idea who he is. They've never heard of him before. Yeah. Okay. I knew who he was. I find that kind of beat not very interesting to me personally, so I kind of ignore it a lot if I can. So I wasn't versed in it, and I really went in and looked at stuff. And Media Matters, where Kat used to work, Media Matters, which was sued by Elon Musk to try to silence them, is an organization that goes and they watch all this right-wing media and they report on it when people say stuff so that we all know what's coming, because they are very good at announcing everything they're going to do. So that site was very helpful, enormously helpful for me to find these quotes. And going in it, I read you the quote today that I said, this quote, even among all these quotes that I've listed here by Hitler and Mussolini and Goebbels, this quote stands out to me. And I actually gaslighted myself. I was like, is this even real? He can't really have said this. This is too bad. He can't.
Well, they're his words. Yeah.
So I think that the best way that we on the 5-8 can honor his memory is to just let the guy talk, right?
Let him talk.
All right, let's let him talk. What do you have to say, Charlie?
The great replacement of white people is far more sinister than any redistricting project. That is at the core of the Democrat project, at the core. And Jasmine Crockett is just some circus act in that entire operation. But it's deathly serious. You shouldn't take what she says seriously. It's just a joke. What she represents is very serious, which is the continued attempt to eliminate the white population in this country. Mark Wayne Mullen joins us next.
So I'm reading that.
He's a great replacement guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to set that up in context, Jasmine Crockett was out among people, which he, talking about something, and he was responding to what she said. But so what? I mean, once you drag in great replacement stuff and you say it out loud like that, and to dismiss her, as he does also earlier in the clip.
Yeah.
He
said it a lot. These were his words.
Yeah.
And his ideas.
There's no justification for it. So like they're trying to make him into a martyr. Okay. And I thought about what that word means. What does martyr mean? Who's a martyr? The 9/11 terrorists they were considered martyrs by Osama bin Laden. A martyr is not inherently good. What is a martyr for the cause? What matters is not the martyrdom. What matters is the cause. So that clip that I played, I think, is pretty representative of his worldview. There's other obviously ugly things that he's said about a lot of other people.
Yeah.
And this isn't even getting into the connection that he has with the insurrection, where he bust all these people to J6.
Yeah.
And then when asked about it, pled the fifth. Speaking of taking words away, pled the fifth, right?
Yeah.
Pleaded, pled.
Hard to know.
Yeah.
There's a
gag
great
order
debate.
when he was with his attorney too. Interesting that. So these are the words, and I can't, quoting somebody's own words, especially words that they repeat in various, iterations time and time again. And
Yeah, a
there's
lot of
hours and
content.
hours
There's
of
a
this stuff.
lot of content of him saying those words.
That's why people don't talk about it. So that clip right there, that's a very short clip. I've now we've put it right here in the middle of the show. You could play it for anybody. You can go dig it up on the Media Matters site. I link to it when I quote from it. Anybody that's on the fence about this guy, watch the clip. And then here's another thing Kat said on yesterday to me, which is if somebody says something racist or tries to make a joke, racist, homophobic, sexist, whatever, she said the best possible thing you can do is just be like, I don't get it. Can you explain it to me? And she's like, it works every time because they don't know what to say or do. So play that and say, what is this? Explain this to me. Why would someone say this? And do you agree with it? And why? Yeah. And, maybe they do, but that's not something that they know it's bad. They know it sounds bad. They know it sounds ugly. That's why he's under the gag order.
It's under a gag order.
That's my opinion.
Yeah. Listen, I'm even, it's not that I'm morally ambiguous about this stuff. I'm not. It's just, that's not the point. My opinion of him and of his words and ideas, my reaction to them, is not the point. And that of this discussion and what struck me. The point is, how the emptiness of the praise and the lionization, the emptiness of that, if you're not going to also do for him in memoriam, and as you're talking about him, as folks are talking about him, they're not going to actually carry forward. It doesn't mean they have to agree with it or whatever, but it's, again, he wasn't a doctor or a soldier that just had these ideas. His whole work was about saying these things, saying what he had to say.
Yeah.
That's, if you're going to honor this guy, that's how it would be like, imagine and him being compared to Martin Luther King and being called an activist. I guess you can make an argument that he's an activist, but he's getting compared to Martin Luther King by the right and all that. It's like, but imagine Martin Luther King is that was an actual assassination, was assassinated, a murder. And we never knew, no one ever played anything he ever had to say.
Yeah.
There was no I have a dream speech. Even though he gave it, we never heard that ever again.
Yep.
Imagine that. We never heard it. We didn't even know, unless you were there on the day, you had no idea what the sound of his voice was even like. People, they've been talking about this man across every single news organization. The Bibi Netanyahu, another leader of another nation, is coming out. He can't stop talking about Charlie Kirk.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, play his words.
Yeah.
I dare you.
This also, it ties in with the ICE stuff also, because all of this great replacement theory stuff that they espouse it. This isn't like within that group, this is not a fringe viewpoint.
No.
Elon Musk's whole, like, we have to have as many babies, the domestic infant supply and all that. They're not worried about the domestic infant supply in total, because the reason that the United States keeps up with the population is because of immigration, by the way. So that's why Russia, for example, has population, the population is in decline in Russia because no one wants to fucking go there, right? And they're not reproducing enough to have replace the population. So Musk and these guys look at only the white domestic people and discount the immigrants. And all of this ICE stuff is part of the same. What they want to do, it's as we talked about in our production meeting, it's sort of settler colonialism, which is they want to go into these places, these cities that are predominantly minority, and they want to take over, get rid of all the immigrants. Remember, J.D. Vance had this whole thing during the debate, the vice presidential debate, about housing and getting rid of the immigrants. He said this in the debate, or intimated it was going to mean more affordable housing because the inventory would suddenly be right. That's what all of this ties together.
It all ties together, and it ties together in that I believe it was Speaker of the House, but it could have also been J.D. Vance and maybe even Donald Trump. There was coming out of the GOP leadership and out of the administration was over the last 10 days or so, after this horrific, like this guy was murdered. It's so
horribly. I mean, horribly.
It's so awful.
Publicly. Yeah.
It's so awful. Okay. That's a whole different thing for me. But the advancement of this sort of proclamation, and I think an accurate assessment on their behalf, that Charlie Kirk was the torchbearer for the future. Like this is the man who held all of our ideas, and they won't play the ideas.
The tiki
and it's
torchbearer.
like yeah. So that, again, I don't even know that that's part of the lionization. I think that's also, they're being very clear and accurate with, like, this is what we believe. We believe what he was, what he stood for, and we believe that he was the future for our party and for politics of this nation. Okay, so why can't we hear what he has to say?
Because they know that people won't like it. That's the answer.
Of course. I mean, we can surmise that. I just want that question lobbed at these people, and I want them challenged to play it. And then stand by it. Say, yeah, we do believe we're a white nation, and Black people are, all the stuff he had to say about Black Americans and all the stuff he had to say about women. And so stand by it.
And gays and trans.
Let America's let the voting public see what you actually stand for.
Yeah. If you're too chicken shit to let the public see what you stand for is probably bad. I mean, honestly, if people keep comparing you to Hitler and to the Nazis, that's not the fault of the people doing the comparing. You know what I'm saying? Maybe stop acting like Hitler and the Nazis. Just saying.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, I think Laura Loomer called Charlie Kirk a fascist. I think pretty sure. I have to look through that. Don't we'll see. Nick Fuentes certainly did. There's plenty of quotes where he was calling Charlie Kirk fascist. So just because the shooter called him fascist has absolutely no bearing, if he did, on where he was getting his influence in terms of the political spectrum. Of just generic right or left or all this generic stuff everybody's doing. But, that's what got Jimmy Kimmel thrown off the air. I really don't want Jimmy Kimmel to negotiate any kind of coming back on. I think ABC has got to go down for this.
Yeah.
I think ABC Disney's got to go down and at least go down the history books. I feel like a lot of the weird posturing that we see from the billionaire owners and, folks that aren't in politics, but are trying to court this administration and then also distance themselves, and they don't really know where to land on it. They just want their money and their greed to kind of continue apace and, and accelerate. There's a point where it's like, you can tell, like this ABC thing now is sort of like, oh, wait a minute, we're going to go down in history as being really bad. And there's just, I do believe it's still possible to reach the human beings behind some of these horrific enabling moves in our raising our voice so that they could see, oh shit, I'm actually going to become infamous for this and not for all of my, you know, owning a media company or running a whatever. I'm actually going to go down, you know. Bob Iger needs to face that. You're going to go down as this is what you're going to be remembered for. None of the rest of the shit. Yeah. Sorry. This is one of those Rubicons that if you're you're in the party and you cross it, you know, the party that crosses this line and it caves to a thug at the FCC. You want it the easy? We can do this the hard way, or whatever. This guy. Oh God, this guy.
Brandon
this is the
Carr,
guy at parties 20 years ago that I couldn't get off of me. This is like that was like simultaneously boring me and terrifying me and like and repulsing me. Is all I didn't know what to grab onto, right? Because they're just God, this guy. What's his name again? Brendan Carr.
Brendan Carr. These guys all have names that are similar to NFL players. It's very confusing during fantasy football season. You know,
what a repulsive human being.
Yeah,
just us off the air because I'm calling you repulsive. You think that's Brendan? Is it
Brendan or Brandon?
Brandon.
Better if does anybody know? Is it Brendan or Brandon? Let's go, Brandon. It would be better if it was Brandon, but
let's go, Brendan.
Idiot. And he's also, by the way, one of these Project 2025.
Oh, sure. Original architect in there with his weirdness.
Yeah.
All we need to find out is that he's an Opus Dei person, and it's.
I think there might be something.
Oh God!
I don't want to misspeak, but
I don't want to misspeak.
You know, the Venn diagram is, you know, it's in that.
Yeah, it's Brendan.
Oh, it's Brendan. Okay.
Oh God!
I have an announcement.
Yes, announcements.
I know we don't usually have announcements. I actually have an announcement, which I just found out today. You know, there's these No Kings rallies that are going to happen around the country on October 18th. I am going to be speaking at the one in Kingston, New York. I was asked to speak, so I get 3 minutes, which is not the 8 that I'm accustomed to, but we'll make it work.
You make it work. I bet you're going to end up with 5 to 8. Everybody talks longer at these things, as you know, as we've written for people and done it ourselves. That's great. Kingston, former capital of New York State.
Former capital of New York State, home to some of the best bars in the world. And as my friend Michael pointed out, it's ironic that we'll be doing the No Kings rally in Kingston, which is literally named for the king.
Yeah,
like that. So I was like, maybe we should name it like ML Kingston. Maybe that would be a better name. Like try to just pivot away from. We made it. Oh, go ahead.
And that was our theme originally for tonight, is we were going to have the King's thing through everything. And then that kind of fell apart, I think, after. But you brought it back in.
72 minutes in, we're finally talking about King Charles and Trump and reading illiterately from his piece of paper. Which anybody that hasn't seen that clip, just go watch that clip. That guy, I mean, really, anybody that's like, Trump is great, just make them watch the clip over and over again and see if they get it back. Probably, I don't know.
How about the fact that the King of England bent down and kissed that man's ass? Kissed his ass. The King of England. How embarrassing. Oh my God. While he's ogling the guy's daughter-in-law. It was a perfect, it was like a Jeffrey Epstein party. And then there's Andrew. Right? And it's like, oh, and here's Andrew. Oh my God.
I think the Onion had a headline today that said something to the effect of Trump spends weekend trying to remember where he knew Prince Andrew from.
The Onion's been on fire lately.
It's good.
Okay,
good.
we have a theory of woke. Any other announcements?
I've
Is
got
that
no
it?
other answers. That's a big announcement.
Okay, we can't wait for your speech. Make sure. I'm sure it will be recorded, and we will.
Yeah,
We'll play it
I'll
for
try to
people.
figure out how to live stream that. But
Awesome.
if you're around, it'll be fun.
If I'm around, it'll be fun.
So this is just the theory of woke that I have, because we didn't know what we needed to come up with a fifth topic very quickly. So we were talking about this, and I just want to get your thoughts on it. So
Okay.
I was thinking about woke meaning kindness, right? If you're woke, basically, it just means you are considerate of other people. That's all that it means, I think. I know that, we can go back into the etymology of it and lead belly and all that, but nowadays, that's what it means. So when people are anti-woke, it just means they just want to be assholes. That's how I perceive it. And I think that I was thinking about this whole Greenland thing and how Trump is sort of has these imperial designs. I think that the idea of that Russia, for example, can be like, we're just going to go take Crimea. Fuck them. We're taking it. We have the might, and we're going to do it. Fuck you. And the idea that there's sovereign borders that we have to pay attention to, in the Westphalian Order established at the end of the 30 Years' War in 1648. Fuck that. That's woke, right? The idea that there's Geneva Conventions that we're not supposed to, use certain forms of fuck, that's woke. It's woke. I think that woke, ultimately, they're grooming people, especially in the United States, to think that conquest is okay. And that, being against conquest, being against the United States as an imperial power is woke and therefore bad in their view. What they want is for us to be like, fuck yeah, take Greenland. Fuck them. There's 58,000 people there. We don't care what they have to say. We have the nukes. We're taking it. What are you going to do about it? And that any kind of protests and any kind of resistance to that, of saying we have no right to be there, it's complicated, but it's it's part of Denmark. It's like semi-autonomous, but it's part of Denmark. They're a NATO ally. Fuck all that. It's woke. What are you going to do about it? And that's my theory. I think that that's what the whole business of it, the whole thing about woke, insofar as it has a purpose, that's the purpose.
Conquest.
That's the purpose. Conquest. It's okay for Putin to take Crimea. It's okay for him to take Ukraine. It's okay for Bibi
to grab him
to
by
take
the
Gaza.
pussy, right?
It's okay
It's
to grab him by the
it's
pussy.
all the same thing.
Exactly.
My mom brought this up today, and a totally different thing. It's like it's all because Mike Johnson, I think, Speaker of the House again, said something like, "Come on, man, just yield." That he was trying to talk to Chicago. I think it was about Chicago or somewhere ICE was, and it was just like, just yield to them. What are you doing?
I saw
right. And so it's like, oh, so just lie down and take it. Shut up, lie down and take it. Stop. It's any kind of no. There's another person here, and it's not about you and your aggressive conquesting agenda. There's another person, and that person has the same rights to stand in the space that they're standing in and say, actually, I don't want you to assault me. I don't want you, you don't have, I have rights. So woke is also, in a broader sense, I feel like what you're saying is for them, they're trying to collapse our rights,
right.
Human rights with being woke. And therefore that all gets dismissed because it's in the way of the agenda of conquest, and conquest is the thing that we're now doing and saying, this is who we are and this is what we do. Yeah.
You don't like it? You're just too woke.
Yeah. Or to families of victims of, gun violence, get over it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I noticed that wasn't said to Charlie Kirk's widow. It was said to us by this administration. Said to my families like us, just get over it. You're just going to have to get over it. I didn't hear anybody saying that to Charlie Kirk's widow or his family.
The hypocrisy is, I guess it's baked into the thing. It's like you can't have water without hydrogen. It's like the hypocrisy is that's a good percentage of what the GOP is.
I think it's everything. It's all, it's all been a projection. It's all whatever that personality cluster is. The fact that they've all found one another and glued themselves around and into and through and up and around tentacles of this party to become this party. The whole thing is about projecting.
Yeah.
The cancel culture thing that, we were talking about this is like, Colin Kaepernick and the Dixie Chicks and Freedom Fries. I saw someone tweet that out. That all happened before they came up with this term, cancel culture. You can't cancel us. And now Jimmy Kimmel. It's always been like that.
Yeah.
It's always been projection.
Mm-hmm.
Always. Meanwhile, we're like, what? I'm just over here. What do you mean? It's just an injured child.
Yeah. And we would have sympathy. Our side would have sympathy for the injured child.
Sure.
That's the other irony,
Yeah. Yeah.
But their side would be like, what did Brian Kilmeade say? Kill them. Kill them all.
Kill them all.
Yeah. That's the position. That's another thing I learned from Kat, by the way, is that this idea of killing homeless people is apparently nothing new on Fox. I guess she said that Jesse Waters routinely says that homeless people should just be set on fire. This is just the thing he says. So
I don't want to end like this, Greg.
No, we shouldn't.
No.
We shouldn't end like this. What's your favorite Robert Redford movie? Let's end with that.
Oh yeah, Robert Redford.
Yeah.
Oh. I have quite a few, but I really,
Throw them at me.
I love All the President's Men.
I was going to say that.
I love The Horse Whisperer. That was a more recent. River Runs Through It. Are we talking as a director or as an actor?
No, whatever.
I loved. Oh my God.
The Sting.
Butch Cassidy. All that stuff. All those great films. I loved what was the one with Barbara Streisand? Why can't I remember it? Hubble. What was that? Where he was Hubble. The love story. That was fun. These were beautiful movies that touched a lot of people. I loved all of the work that he did to nurture and inspire and carry forward young generations of artists after him. Boy, did he leave a mark. What a legacy he left.
The way
incredible. From Sundance, and an activist, an environmentalist and an activist.
Yeah.
Just incredible work. There was a movie he did, Spy Games. I thought that was quite clever and interesting. He chose smart material, and even if it was heartfelt or more sentimental in tone, whether it was a romance or something, it was always smart. Yeah. It was always a smart script, a great script, and interesting and authentic dialogue. Yeah, I loved Robert Redford.
We haven't even mentioned Indecent Proposal, which is the funniest concept of all time. Like,
but that was even smart.
Your wife,
well done.
You lost the money, but you can get money if you have your wife, with Robert Redford, and the wife is like, "Oh no, please don't make me go off with Robert Redford for the night. Whatever shall I do?" It's just a funny idea.
Yeah.
Anyway, no, he was obviously.
He seemed like a very. My takeaway from watching his performances is he was a very good listener in all of the scenes, very thoughtful. If you could feel him being thoughtful, you could feel it.
Yeah.
That was very special for me and seemingly rare. Just lovely.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Okay, so now we've ended on something
that's nice. Yeah,
beautiful. So,
yeah.
All
right. Well,
what sounds like the title of a Robert Redford movie?
Listen, a river runs through it. I'm gonna get there. We'll get to whatever it is. Let's get there.